afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Health Minister urges family of deceased 4-year-old to meet with hospital officials. Police Commissioner again defends use of force policy. And later in sports, RGR Sports Foundation National Sports Awards Gala takes the spotlight this evening at 8:30. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is making an appeal to the family of a 4-year-old girl who died at the facility to meet with the hospital to bring closure to the issue. Dr. Tufton says he met with the hospital's management at Bustamante, but for clarity and transparency, the ministry needs to speak with the family.
We had a conversation firstly around the management of that process involving the baby. I am comfortable and satisfied that based on the technical review, the discussion with the CMO, that the medical team did the best that they could, and that there are some technical nuances that would need to be explained to the family members. The challenge is that they have reached out to the family members on multiple occasions, the father in particular, I am told, and there have been a resistance to meet with the team. And I want to use this opportunity again to appeal to the family to come in. I'm prepared to meet with them.
Dr. Tufton is also expressing concern about threats made to hospital workers since the incident.
The hospital has been traumatized, the management and those affected. There are still a few medical personnel who have not returned to work. And of course, the police has been involved in that process. I would really like to see an end to that threat level. I think it's unnecessary and indeed it's illegal. And so my appeal again is where I can intervene to play a role, even with the family members, I am prepared to do that. And certainly to advise caution that this is something that really represents a threat, not just to the institution, but to individuals.
A tough response this afternoon from Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake about the police's lethal force approach. It comes amid concern over the number of persons fatally shot by the security forces so far in 2025. The details in this report.
The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, says so far this year, the country has recorded 12 fatal shootings involving the security forces. That's nearly one every day. Some stakeholders are very concerned and have called on the police leadership to try and reduce the incidence of shootings. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has responded.
I hear calls to the police to reduce fatal shooting and, be careful, watch the number is going up and stuff like that. We have a tendency to bundle the thing called fatal shooting as if it's all, it's a crime or it's all wrong.
He explained that one of the surest ways to get a reduction in fatal shootings is for thugs to stop turning their weapons on the police. But until that happens,
we will be pursuing criminals wherever they are. It doesn't matter what firepower they have. It doesn't matter how bad they think they are. We are coming. So this call to police to reduce fatal shooting it's wrongly directed. It ought to be directed at criminals who raise their gun. Because you will not get me to tell my police not to pursue criminals. We're going. Right? What I would love these agencies and these persons who are talking about fatal shooting to do is to tell criminals, do not raise the gun at the police.
The commissioner saluted the members of the force who he said are on the front lines every day saving Jamaicans' lives. He said the state has invested heavily to ensure while they are trying to save lives, they don't lose theirs to criminals.
I don't spend millions and millions of dollars in 2024, millions of dollars each month training my OST, my fighting force, so that they don't lose a battle against criminals. I don't train them and invest so much money so that criminals can take them out. And so if they just understand that it's a likelihood for you to lose a fight against my men, just understand that and don't even start the fight.
Kerry-Ann Simpson, TVJ News.
Nonsense. That's how the PNP labeled the government's explanation that states of emergency are to credit for the reduction in murders in 2024. Dwayne Anderson reports.
The 18% decrease in murders in 2024 earned the JLP administration and security forces commendations. The opposition, while happy with the improvements, explained the work over the last 12 months is merely the start.
What you had was that under the JLP, murders went up dramatically, on average increased by 25% over the last 8 years. 2024 was the first year it came back down into the range, not even to the average, but into the range that we had it at in the 2012 to 2016 period. So while we welcome it, we have to caution that in absolute terms, it is still quite high.
The gains, according to the government, were the result of increased investments in the investigative capabilities and infrastructure of the police force, as well as the use of the tough security measures such as the states of emergency. As for the latter measure, the opposition spokesman on national security, Senator Peter Bunting, is not convinced.
2 years later, since it has stopped being used extensively, the Prime Minister is straining to say, oh, there was this delayed reaction and wants to credit it. But that's rubbish. The opposition feels vindicated because the last 2 years, which have each seen a reduction, are the 2 years in recent memory where the serial and routine use of states of emergency has ceased. And we had long advocated that not only was it unconstitutional, but it was ineffective. It was an unproductive use, an inefficient use of resources.
2025 is an election year, and crime and violence is again a big concern for voters. The PNP, like the JLP, will have to convince Jamaicans of their strategies to get further reduction. Senator Bunting says his party's message will be,
what you really need is crime prevention efforts, which requires a much more holistic approach to addressing the issue of violent crime. It means you have to go into communities where there's underinvestment in social services, underinvestment in housing, underinvestment in infrastructure, and underinvestment in your human resources into those young people who are at risk, and that if you don't find a way to create opportunities for them, they'll end up as gang recruits.
Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
The authorities are promising an expansion of the JUTC service to schools in the north of Clarendon. But the issue is the poor state of the roads. More in this report.
The realization of a commitment made weeks ago by the Transport Minister, the JUTC has expanded its routes and has returned to the streets of Clarendon. Sandra Bartley is a parent. She watched as her child boarded the now familiar large yellow buses. The service is everything she wanted for her child who uses public transportation.
Discipline, clean, you name it. You don't have no crowding, no lapping up, and all of that. No loud music. You drive safely, you reach school safely.
From the parish capital Maypen, the buses take students to various schools, especially along the southern belt, such as Vere and Lionel Town. But what about the schools in the north? Discussions have started to add those routes.
From Maypen to Chapelton, from Maypen to Frankfield would have been a very prime route. Very, very prime route. And I suppose that REACH and the Spark program will take care of the condition of those roads, which would even make it better for those buses to traverse those corridors.
The objective now is to make the arrangement with the buses more efficient.
They're based on Denby Showground, that the original area that would have accommodated them when they had started. But I know that they are looking for location where they could be permanently establish a depot to make sure that the they have somewhere in Clarendon rather than have to be going back and forth each day from Maypen to Spanish Town.
Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The National Road Safety Council has met with the Transport Ministry to address road safety concerns. According to Vice Chairman of the Council, Dr. Lucian Jones, 8 pedestrians have been killed since the start of the year. Additionally, 17 road fatalities have been recorded since the start of the year compared to 16 during the same period last year.
We have to find a way very quickly to recapture the momentum that we gained in 2024. The breakdown shows that 8 pedestrians have died and 4 motorcyclists. And what is worse, there are 2 deaths that are under investigation, 2 motorcyclists. So it could be not just 17, but 19. We have a meeting scheduled with the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Transport to deal with the issue of pedestrian safety. We really hope some important steps will be taken at this meeting to try and pull back on the number of pedestrians who are dying in our country.
In the meantime, a man and a woman were taken to hospital following a collision in St. Thomas. The driver of the trailer gave his account of the accident.
Yeah, man, I come about 45 miles an hour, 35, 40, and you see a lady just cut out a line of traffic coming from the opposite direction and go straight to me. And that's what happened. And I say she come from way down, we have a whole part things I do.
She overtake?
Yeah, she overtake. Come on, the line of traffic over here and come head on right in the truck.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Chairman of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Stephen Whittingham, says internal as well as external, local and overseas applications were received from people seeking to fill the post of Managing Director of the JSC. Head of the JSC, Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, is set to retire. Dr. Street Forrest has been at the head of the organization for 20 years. The exchange was designated by Bloomberg LP as the #1 in the world in 2015 and 2018. Further afield, a new report in the U.S. has revealed that insurance costs are rising rapidly for many homeowners. Data released by the Treasury Department Thursday shows that homeowners' insurance costs increased 9% faster than overall inflation from 2018 to 2022. The spike has been attributed to extreme weather events like hurricanes and fires. According to the report, the 20% of homes in zip codes judged to be at greatest risk for extreme weather paid an average of more than $2,300 a year in premiums. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Kerry Ann Simpson.
Now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Dr. James Fletcher has been appointed as CARICOM Climate Envoy effective January 1, 2025, to enhance the Caribbean's leadership in global climate forums. This follows a 2024 decision by CARICOM heads of government to ensure the region's climate priorities are advanced at diplomatic levels. CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett emphasized the urgency of addressing climate change and limiting global temperature rise. On the international scene, Flight Radar 24 reported that several planes, including a Spirit jet and an Air Transat flight, were diverted or held over the Caribbean following a SpaceX rocket launch that experienced a rapid unscheduled disassembly. A Boeing 767 carrying Amazon cargo diverted to Nassau, and a JetBlue flight returned to Fort Lauderdale. The rocket, launched from South Texas, exploded after 8.5 minutes, reaching an altitude of 90 miles. SpaceX's Elon Musk remained optimistic, posting that entertainment is guaranteed despite the failure. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Anthony Atkinson, TVJ News.
We take another break. Sports is next.